Welcome, guys. It's me, Suze. Hey, what do you think about the Cruella de Vil hair and makeup I did the other day? Oh, that's right. I'm just curious. I'm not talented. Alright. Well, anyhow, I wanted to pull up a piece of history for you to show you my lack of talent or caring or anything like that. So,
My name is Suze
here
Pratt.
we go.
I'm known as the holistic stylist now, and I have, for the majority of my life, 30 years, ran a small business, sole proprietor, called the Hair Emporium. And so I make this video in response to what
Let's move
happened
this up.
yesterday, which would be the 22nd, I believe, of October.
2 years ago.
2017.
Yep.
St. Louis local media said that they're going to go to the hairdressers and the barbers and get
Come on.
them
There we go.
to be spokespeople for STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. And this is a very dangerous hot button topic because in the standard textbook of cosmetology, which is what we all study out of, we're strongly discouraged to speak about sex, politics, or religion. So I find it difficult and curious to know how we're not supposed to talk about sex when we talk about STDs. So I made a video about it. You can find it on YouTube. It's called Media Decides Barbers, Hairdressers to be STD Shills. Now today, especially with my live stream not being trustworthy, I'm going to get to telling you a story that comes out of the archives of my life. Instead of doing our comparisons then and now, we'll save those for the end. But the name of this story is The Ogre, the Lion, and the Princess Go to State Board. This never-ending fairy tale story, if you want to believe it to be gossip, is set in the 80s. And so we have this old greasy troll, and he runs the biggest hair salon in North County. Well, you see, he had his little group where, he was like the king and told them all what to do. So we have the lion in this story, and the lion is told that they gotta speed things up. And what that means in hairdresser terms is the state board law is very specific on the amount of hours that a practicing cosmetology student needs to be in school every day. So this lion ran the beauty school, you see, and she was friends with the troll, of course. They went way back. And the princess girl, she was a little beautiful girl, and she worked behind the desk at this hair salon. And of course, she went to beauty school. So the job of the lion was to clock her out even though she wasn't there, and falsify the paperwork, for the King of State Board, right? Well, see, the other peasants that were in school at the time, they were jealous of the princess anyhow. I mean, shoot. Little blonde bombshell, cute as could be. And so the peasants decided to revolt. And what they did was they made one of those naughty phone calls, and they told on the lion. And of course, in our state laws, if you falsify records, you could be fined up to $1,000 and go to jail for a year. The lion didn't want to go to jail.
Oh, I'm not the lion.
Didn't want to have to lie.
That would have been my
you
beauty
know, it was
school
like a
teacher.
thorn in her paw, right? Well,
Don't get it
anyhow,
twisted.
State Board was gonna have her little trial, and she called the ogre, or the troll, whatever you want to call the greasy little guy. And she says, hey, I've been your friend, your confidant, I've trusted you, I've done what you said, and now I prepare to go to the gallows. What are you gonna do? So, of course, this entity had lots of connections, just like we see today. You know, certain odd things happen and little proof of a hand. So, anyhow, he went there and cleared everything up for the lion, so she didn't have to go to jail or pay $1,000 fine. And so, I guess the moral of the story with this is that you can think that you can run and hide. You might think that you can mess with those hands on the clock, but in the end, there's always going to be a source that knows.
Kind of like the computer.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, everybody wants to cage the lion, right? So, it was time for that story to come out, and I would have liked to told it better. There's not much more to the story, really. I just need to document these things because, like I said, when we are at a week in history where they want to put the hairdresser and the barber, the people that are really into community, on that very chopping block, especially when our industry faces deregulation. And so many people think, well, why not deregulate hairdressers? Because any moron could, you know, do a basic haircut. I mean, we got a flow.
Yeah, Owen Benjamin.
I mean, no one's.
I saw your new video.
And of course, the cartoons from the Jetsons suggested that we'd go under a supersonic helmet and have a new do. And I do have a game about that where you can find out what hairstyle you wear today. But you see, this all goes back to a 100-year history of the unwinding of what we know to be reality. And so, in the Depression, there were only a few places that were open for business where people could go just to have a break or to speak easy, right? And one, of course, was the hair salon. The other was the barber shop, because you know back then it was not unisex salons like it is today, no doubt. And they were governed by two different bodies, you know, two different powers. The last place where you could go and speak easy was in an underground bar, you know, Prohibition years and things like that. So here's my thoughts, is if you give this job to people that have to work for corporations where they're allowed 15 or 20 minutes for a haircut, and of course that corporation would be a subsidiary of a larger corporation, you know,
Tag those
parent
glitches.
company or whatever they call them.
Wow.
Well, surely whatever they wanted that hairdresser or barber to do, it would become like second nature. Like in the 90s, if you weren't a good hairdresser, you weren't selling product. It had nothing to do with your skill.
Right,
That
Mel?
also was a takedown of small
Mel
business,
V?
no doubt. But what deregulation is really over
L'Oreal,
is something to turn
you're worth it. Tag it.
sister against sister and brother against brother. So you cannot. Hey, I should check my live stream first before I say this. Hang on. Okay, everything's cool. So, you see, you cannot tell a group of humans, whether they are African American, whether they are Caribbean, it doesn't matter what race they are. If braiding is passed down in that family, just like basket weaving, just like an art or a trade, anything that you do with your hands.
Like glass
You
blowing.
see, you can't tell that person that they're not allowed to do that. And so that's created a huge war in the hair industry, many of you know. Because, I'm sorry, but everybody's wearing weave, even if they're white girls with good hair, and everybody knows it's true. So, you see, you could go to a salon and have to spend easily double. I know it's more like triple, but I want to keep it simple. They go and spend a fortune there to have someone who is not as competent as a person that had been doing it ever since they were walking, pretty much. Well, why wouldn't they want to save money in these trying times? And surely, by law, if you have a salon and you choose to allow someone to braid in your salon and pay booth rent, you see, that's legal. And that's good, and it should be that way. But, you see, while everybody's arguing about tit for tat and who's going to get the money, the real reason goes back to money as always. So, they have put on paper, I've seen it, I've seen the accusations. I can't say I have it right here on me. But there are many that believe that these state boards don't handle their money properly. Their money comes from all of our license fees.
Imagine that, YouTube.
So, here again, if you're trying to bring down the community and not have any happy hope for anybody, first thing you take out is the hairdressers and the barbers. And we have a different role now to play as holistic stylists and healers and confidence and counselors, spiritual researchers like myself. The industry's changing, just like our world. And we have good times to look forward to. So, since my stream worked, let me just go over the then and now, because I thought it was really cute. And I was all into it earlier when my live stream shut down. Okay, so, then and now. And the first one that we're gonna do is pantyhose. And the reason why is because when I became a hairdresser, a licensed cosmetologist, in 1983, see, I worked at a salon, believe it or not, inside what we would now know as Target. Back then they were called Venture. And it was the Glenby Corporation. So if you were really cool, you did hair at the famous bar. And if you were a girl from the wrong side of the tracks, you know, you worked at Venture. But anyhow, even if you worked at Venture, you had to wear heels, right? And I don't wear heels, for anybody that knows me. So, the last time I wore heels to work was 1983. I worked there 3 months and said, blow me sideways, when they didn't care about a lice outbreak, which is also against our state laws. See, we're not supposed to be doing people's hair or analyzing their skin if they have a communicable disease, and STDs are just that very thing. So, these days, when I see women out and about, and I'm talking about, you know, diva outfits and such, there are no pantyhose anymore. And so, in the salon, if you would have been bare-legged in the day that our state law that we still have to adhere to was written, see, you would be in a health violation because somehow your foot might contaminate your client. I don't know if people were doing hair with their feet or, I wasn't there. But I know there's people that don't have arms that do great things with their feet. The point is, look at these days. Now we're in the modern times again. everybody knows how many people got toe fungus. Don't act like people don't know. And, you know, for the females that like to go to those cheap shops and do the in and out thing, they know the story about barrier language and shaving too much skin off and catching a nasty case of Lord knows what. So, it is a serious subject. And of course, in our industry, in my eyes, we won't be whole until we first do no harm. So, that's my statement on nylons. Oh, but wait, one more thing if you want to save the world. Okay, believe it or not, over a decade ago, there were some college kids that crammed a bunch of hair clippings from hair shops into pantyhose, threw them out in the ocean. It soaked up the oil spills, and they won a big prize in college.
True story.
Earlier, when I was going through this the other time, I had brought something out that I've done for the last 20 years, is save and store hair and make a hair bank for human hair color swatches. So, you see, human hair is great for your garden. It'll keep pests away. It's great to soak up oil spills, say on your parking lot or your driveway. You could also make an accurate hair color chart if you are a professional licensed cosmetologist and you wanted to see how the color was going to turn out before you executed it on your client friend person. But the reason why this was so highly discouraged, you see, is because they can find out everything about your DNA through hair, right? So, I guess that's why that idea is difficult to deal with. But of course, so's an idea that they could take your hair or your skin or whatever and make what they call an organic robotoid.
Or a voodoo doll.
So,
Wow, look at that scar on my leg
I
way
gotta be
back
so
then.
careful. It's like it's a BFD when everybody knows what's going on, right? Alright, so next subject is Elvis. I mean, come on.
Elvis made me
It
run
wouldn't
into
be
the
a
Jeep
fortnightly
with my
show
leg.
anywhere in Sue's world if I wasn't pulling that in somehow. So, a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
my
here he
client
is.
brought me this lovely paper because she knows I don't participate in mainstream media. I'm not watching the dopey news unless I'm getting a clip, right? But this is called Best of Remind. And so she said, I know you know everything about Elvis. But I thought you'd like this. And so we've got all this great memorabilia. And of course I will be photographing this and sharing this. But we have Sonny and Cher. We have on the newsstand over the years, Time and Life and National Geographic. And see, this is why hair shops always are, always have been, and always will be hubs of community. So, time capsules, top TV, popular films, some Jimmy Stewart, Elizabeth Taylor, and of course Doris Day, Eddie Fisher, Esther Williams, and Peter Noon, Tom Jones, Hunka Hunka Man 2, and of course on the back, the ultimate Anne Margaret, right? So how nice was that? But here's the funny story. Okay, so back in the 90s, Elvis came out of nowhere and he was the poster child for Big Sexy Hair, which is
Sure
a
he
professional
was.
brand of hair care. And it's like, damn, where'd they get those pictures? That doesn't look like Elvis. Exactly, you know? And just now, 2016, premiere edition. On the back of Man Magazine, which is the business of men's grooming. Here we have American Crew.
Look at
The
that.
king of men's grooming presents the ultimate style icon for men, Elvis Presley. And this is American Crew, and this is all copyrighted and protected and trademarked and all those things. So, isn't that interesting? Right there. But, see, That's why they needed a hairdresser to be the spiritual researcher on the Presley mystery. Who else would know so much about eye shape, skin color, different types of skin, different facial shapes and structures, and of course we have two facial shaped structures for the International Man of Mystery Tour. We even have a third face, but you guys already know about that too. Okay, so the last thing that I want to discuss before I take these stupid heels off is state board. And so that's our governing body, and we were talking about that. So I guess I really already covered state board, but back in the day, of course, I knew all the state board inspectors, and there were two Darlenes, Darlene Cox, Darlene Pendleton, ran in succession of one another, great women. And like I said, state board, Missouri state law says that their laws supersede and override local ordinance. So I'm in a town where their local ordinance is I'm a piece of shit.
And that's how they take over towns.
My hands anywhere. And they couldn't support me, and I wondered why. I already know I'm targeted, see, but the whole point is it all had to do with sex, politics, and religion.
Tag it.
Not of mine, of theirs. So, looks like we got a storm coming. I can see it blowing in from the west.
Unseen forces from the west.
I appreciate you guys being here and hearing my story. And I've got many more coming. Like I said, this week is devoted to anyone that is in any service to other human beings. Like my buddy Puka doing all that Reiki I saw you there in the live stream. So, namaste.
Can mess you up
And,
too, can't it, Puka?
Spread the word, man. Good luck to them. We're shutting it down. Peace, love, and light from the Big Yellow House on the third cosmic ray. And check out my ceiling, because there we are. And since I got some people here, why don't we go ahead and look at a few things. It says add some color to your life. Organic salon systems. The one kid says, Mom, so used
Look at the Winter magazine to the right of it. The laminated copy. Right there.
Women's magazine.
St. Louis.
Antique beaded headdress. This is a one-of-a-kind, limited edition. Malibu 2000 put this piece of art out. Oh man, I've had it
Just beautiful. Look at that.
over 25 years, but isn't that beautiful? That woman there that becomes part of the mountain, and her hair is the water, and it's also lovely and natural. I see a holistic stylist in the house. I see 2. I see 3. Oh man, what great days.
Mm-hmm. Probably hacking and cloning my Facebook.
See, I don't want to wind up like this, y'all. People go, see, I knew she was trouble. No, that was when I was raising money. They act like they're going to lock you up if you can't make them so much fundage, right? Of course, there are the original Germac hair magnifications. So you see, since I'm in exile like this, what this is reflections of my life. This is everything that I've ever loved. So, can you believe I'm walking downstairs in heels?
No.
Ridiculous. I'm going to show you my new project as a holistic stylist, because whatever I do in this life, it has to be as good as I do hair. And I am the queen of hair color in Missouri. I'm a nationally accredited, board-certified hair colorist, first one in Missouri, certified in 1998, number 145.
20 and back
But
that.
anyhow, these are my
Andre.
spectaculars. And so, as you guys know, I do a lot of energy work. And I thought it would be nice to make something that you could create sacred space, work with your feng shui in your home,
At least I have
And a lot of
real
people are
stuff,
into this
real
big,
merch,
right?
important
So, you
things.
see what I did is wound up attaching thing to thing. So, you have a beautiful geode, and look, I decorated them. See that? And I'll tell you what it is, because I love to share good tips that you can apply that might work in your life, right?
Or other
So,
people
when
can
I
talk
started
shit
doing
about.
this 3 years ago,
I mean, whatever you
my
want.
silly butt was trying to glue thing to thing to thing. You see, to make what would now be spectaculars in this new gnosis, this knowledge, this higher wisdom of how do you do what you do, Suze? Okay. Well, anyhow, my dear friend Mary, she does that face painting, you know, like for the kids, and does the henna tattoos. I mean, just lovely work. Well, anyhow, she created her own face art where she put little jewels in puff paint. And I thought, you know, like when she was showing them to me at first, I thought what she was saying was that she purchased this from somebody. And she says, no, Suze, I made it myself. I'm like, stop it, man, that's badass, because especially for a hairdresser, I mean, you can do so much cool stuff, right? So whether it's a hair ornamentation or something that you put on your skin, absolutely brilliant. So, of course, when she made these, you know, they're connected dot to dot to dot to dot, and they go on a nice piece of wax paper or whatever, and then you use a non-toxic adhesive when you stick it to the kid's head, right? Now, here again, you see, that holds your crystal ball. And, of course, let me show you something that a hairdresser, only a hairdresser will appreciate this, but maybe I'll be wrong. Okay, so you guys know if you want to set hair up a certain way, especially the big hair back in the day, you could use your hairspray and your blow dryer at the same time to set something up and make it go a certain way. So as we look at these brilliant tips coming off of this shell, now you know what I did. I put the puff paint on, and I worked as Susie hairdresser with my blow dryer to make sure that those would be just the way I wanted them. And look at this. See the crystals that actually sit up on the shell? All done with puff paint, my friends. And so...
Now, hang on. Even if you think I'm just curious and not talented, I mean, somebody else needs to come forward with their brilliant ideas instead of mocking other people, right, Trish? I mean, I know there's hundreds of you, but, you know, I'm focused on you right now and your antics of the last, what, week? But, I mean, it's really pathetic when you hold other people down because you feel bad about your own self. I mean, that's a mess.
this is something that one of these days, when the time is right, and I come raising
Oh,
up
it's
like
never
a
the right
phoenix or
time, is it,
something,
number one?
you know, I'll have all this information and you'll know right where to get them. Anybody local, come see me, man. 12 Royal. I got no secrets. Love this one. See that? It's another one for your crystal ball, right?
Oh, well, hang on.
Did you?
We have a fake person who has hijacked my website with all my typing, all my writing, all my pictures. They have them subject to trademark, allegedly, unless it would be the number one international man, a whoop-de-screw. I mean, screw ya? What, good or bad? You see what I'm saying? Who's got my stuff and why do they got my stuff? And in the meantime, for it not even to be a real human and created from body parts like Trisha's tits, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Do you guys not see what's happening? No wonder you guys run from my page. You can't handle the truth.
You can see there's a full selection. This would be your ultimate diva shell. I got a little heavy-handed. You know how that is as a hairdresser. If a little's good, a lot's great. So, I kind of went into that. But this is one that everybody's loving. And so I'm going to hold this up in the sun so you can see the striations.
Not a 2-bit crystal chanter.
Whereas if it were just, say, against your skin, you really don't get the same appreciation of that jewel.
Adventuring.
Nice on darker wood, but
Polished
you
adventuring.
get what I'm saying. But see, when you put it
Good for your heart.
there into a crystal, and it can sit, it's beautiful. Now, considering this is 420, you know I gotta make this comment, so I hope I don't offend anybody's delicate nature. But I love this one. I say, you know that line from the movie, you can put your weed in there. See, of course, that's funny. But, here again, the blow dryer trick.
Put your rings in there.
You see how I set that whole thing up, right? I love my industry.
Amethyst.
You can do anything. Holistic stylists don't have to be limited to what anyone tells them. They are artists. Now, this is so cool. Okay. So you got another thing that you could put your...
Rings.
So you can put your rings on this
There
one.
you go, rings.
But here's what's cool. Watch this. Okay, so you turn upside down, and do you see that you can actually see the animal's exoskeleton that they left? It's in the right hand part of the shell. See it sparkling in there? And then when I turn it this way, you catch just a little bit of it. I just thought that was beautiful. And what this is that sludge glass from all the old glass factories along the Missouri River. And so one of my clients was hunting for mushrooms, and instead she found a bunch of this glass, and they thought it was calcite or fluoride, and it's not, but no big deal. Now, this would be for the uber fancy super pants, not super pants, fancy pants. Very modern home or modern salon, because salons need great feng shui. They need to protect themselves too, you know, so we're talking about all the good ways to keep the salon clean and free from anything that might jump off. 4 pyramids, 4 green tourmaline, 1 shungite, 8 garnet. Totally cool. This is the one that I call my TV meditation piece. So you got this incredible quartz with those beautiful air bubbles, which would be where water was. Maybe there still is. But you can affix a cord to this, and look, all of a sudden you got a bird bath. I mean, you know, just decorative, right? And it goes on and on. But you get what I've been doing in my spare time, which I have very little of. And I was blessed with such an incredible thing today that I'm going to have to talk about it real soon. But I'm not going to talk about it until I actually do what they instructed me to do. I received a very mysterious call today. I like this one. Put some sand in the bottom of it so it's heavier. And you can put whatever you want up there. Put your keys up there if you want. Who cares? Alright. Thanks, guys. And, like I said, anybody that ever wants to come visit, make a day trip, we have extra rooms, we have 3 biomats, we have lots of love, and, we got lots of stuff. But
And I get attacked for it.
this would be all
Isn't
the
that
stuff
great?
that would be...
Gotta love
we take when
YouTube.
we go to do festivals. Oh, and wait. Look how artistic I am. Hang on just a second. Okay.
Oh, that'll make them hate
See
you.
this piece of driftwood right here? Well, I wanted to make a necklace holder out of it, and so I had 2 choices. I could either wait
It's a
for
Celtic
Joe to
cross.
construct me something, or see this selfie stick right here? It was the exact right dimension that I could shove that wood in. And then I wired that to my Celtic cross. And the Celtic cross and this never-ending story and this phenomena is a big story. So that is a concrete statue, and you see that holds the beautiful. Yeah, Puka, like a bed and breakfast, but see, I'm not allowed to even be here. We gotta make changes in this town and all across the world so we can all serve our communities in the most loving way we can and bring professionalism. Because whether I'm wearing nylons or whether I'm in moccasins or barefoot, I first do no harm. And I'm every bit as professional wherever I go. This is our personal collection, not for sale. You know.
Absolutely not.
And just one more. But yeah, I would love to. I would love to be a community center where people could come and get help and information, spend time in the library, check out historic books. Thanks, Marie. I love that cross too. I know. The Celtic cross is huge in my family story and lineage. And on the phenomenon on 9/1, when they showed me the world, and of course that's all documented, but anyhow, the Celtic cross was involved in that reveal as well as other sacred symbols. So that's why that means something to me. And of course, as I tell y'all these different stories or share life and do these things, I mean, there's a lot of story, but of course these days they're trying to destroy the story of our lives, and you know me, I'm not going down without a fight. And why? I guess because of kin and lineage. So there's my grandma and grandpa Glasscock. I don't know why that just choked me up, but anyhow it did. So, with that, you guys, as always, peace, love, and light from the big yellow house on the third cosmic ray. And expect to see great days, because from what I know, we're on it. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm not allowed to have this sign. And, you know, after the tornado, when everything got knocked down, we had one hanging outside, right? And believe it or not, they sent the city to collect that sign. And the guy that came was cool. I mean, he was kind of hip to me as soon as I hit town, you know. But anyhow, he came to visit us, and he said, hey man, I hate to do this, but I gotta take that Chesapeake Park sign. Well, see, they didn't care about the ones that fell down all over the neighborhoods. Just so happens we had another one inside, and we gave him the ripped one that was outside, right? And we said, hey man, come inside and see the house, you know? We brought him in here and said, what do you think about this? And he's like, that's fucking awesome. How'd you do that? I'm like, you know, we pick up trash in the neighborhood, right? And he says, yeah, right, don't ever put that outside because I'll be in trouble. Now, fortunately,
He doesn't work for the city anymore. He
has
quit.
just
Retired.
like him, as
Where's
the guy
Joe
with the
Krabby at,
accident.
anyhow?
They took their retirement.
My Scorpio
They took
friend.
their jobs and they left because they knew this shit was going to hit the fan. So,
The Ferguson effect.
I have a lot of Ferguson history. I mean, if anybody's curious out there in this plasma field, we have Ferguson, a city and its people. And I don't know if you know this, but until the 1950s, if you were not Caucasian, like this color, you had to leave town by dark. That's how serious this shit is. Now, always remember 1994. That was the year they started busing people against their will.
That would be 74. I must have been time traveling, Tubby.
Kinloch, which is no longer
74.
around. I mean, you can go there, but there's no street signs, and they're selling shit you don't want. You know, boarded up, few houses are left. You don't need much, right? And then, of course, where I went to grade school, Riverview Gardens. So, this is all very important. And like I said, this state board thing and this hair thing, it has nothing to do with color.
And everything to do with the trolls on YouTube
Every time you've seen one of these false flags.
and on the ground in the
you find out,
streets.
hey, somebody was trying to pull the wool over my eyes.
Mm.
All right. Any last attempt, right? So, anyhow, peace out, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get these shoes off. Love you.